Ready to go? Agad pwede ako. Nagkatsimita siya nagkatiyamta na. Kaya sige ako kata nagstay ko na hita. Tapos nadarita. So we're going to begin, and wish to thank Sophie for making this presentation, and along with Audrey and Chantal. Chantal is over there someplace. She's and with the blessing of our chair, Roderick Chadha. To the Eeeyou Marine Region roles and responsibilities of the board. What is the Eeeyou Marine Regional Land Claims Agreement? The agreement is an offshore agreement between the federal government and the Cree Nation that became effective February 15, 2012. The EMR includes the James Bay and the southeastern Hudson Bay, and you can see that on the map. Canada recognized Cree ownership of the land in the offshore, 80% Cree and 20% government owned. The islands are owned collectively by the Cree, including the subsurface rights. Islands are held by the Cree Nation government, CNG, on behalf of the Cree Nation as a whole. Ownership of the waters and of the tidelands and seabed will remain with Canada under the terms of the offshore agreement. You can also find the Eeeyou Marine Region on the WWEEeyou Marine Region. Then you'll find information about the three boards. The agreements related to the Cree-Inuit offshore overlap interest area. This agreement between the Cree of Quebec and the Inuit of Nunavik was signed before the agreement of 2015. That agreement that outlines the joint Cree and Inuit zone was signed prior to the offshore island agreement, and it's part of the existing agreement, and provides the continuation of harvesting between the Cree and Inuit. There are three zones within the jurisdiction of the Cree: the overlap Cree Inuit area joint zone. The land is owned jointly with the Inuit and Cree. The Inuit zone and Cree zones includes the sharing of wildlife, management, and harvesting. The agreement created the institution of public governments, and these three institutions of public governments that were created in the agreement were the EMR Wildlife Board and the EMR Impact Review Board and the EMR Planning Commission. And all three boards have one common office that's located in the community of Waskahinis. And it's an old building. Hopefully it'll have a new office in the near future. These three boards are independent bodies with their own accountability, and they're not part of the Cree government, nor part of the federal government. And the three boards, as I mentioned, the EMR, the Planning Commission presently is chaired by Chantal Audetro, and the vice chair is Alan Penn. Was appointed by the Grand Council of the Crees, and then we had another member, Lauren McGeese, that was appointed by Canada. And we have presently have one vacant position that's supposed to be appointed by the Nunavut. Then we also have a person that's been nominated to chair the Planning Commission. Just waiting for confirmation from the ministry, Tina Padoabano. And with the EMR Impact Review Board, I am the chair, Issac Masty, the chairperson, and then Brian Craig, the vice chairperson, that was appointed by the Grand Council of the Crees. And we have another member, Fred Tovadik, from East Bay, that was nominated by the Grand Council of the Cree. We also have Lucas Yargataidak, and I was a nominated member from Nunavut. And Brandon O'Donnell is also a member that was appointed by Canada. And under these two entities, we have personnel, Audrey Lapina on the left, that's the director working for both the entities. And we have two officers. So one is Lorianne Issac, accounting administrator, Celia Wesley, an administrative assistant there, from Waskaignis. And under the EMR Wildlife Board, we have Roger Pachano as our chairperson, and I am the vice chairperson of that group as well, and appointed by the Grand Council. Andrew Beaulieu Lemieux is a member that's working for the Grand Council, was also appointed by Grand Council. And we also have Bert Moore, that was appointed by the Cree Nation government. And we also have Claude Saint-Charles, that was a member appointed by Canada. And presently we have a vacant position that to be appointed by Canada. And then we have Peter Katuk from Senekilot, was also appointed by Nunavut. And under the EMR with the CTA, we have some officers that were hired. There was Samuel Moses from East Maine, the wildlife liaison officer, was looking after the other local officers. Stanford Diamond from Waskaignis, Brandon Moses from East Maine, George Nadwap Nussman from Women G. John Limboy. Stand up, John. From Tsesibi. Very good chauffeur. And then we have George Patagamskum from Wabmaxty. The responsibility mandate of the Eeeyou Marine Planning Commission, pretty much similar to what Nunavik have. The mandate is to develop planning policies, priorities, and objectives for the EMR region. And you can find their mandate in section, chapter 8 of the offshore agreement. The responsibilities include to develop planning policies, priorities, objectives regarding the conservation, development, management, and use of land within the EMR. And to document the personal use of that area. Also develop a land use plan to guide and direct resource use and development within the EMR. And the responsibility also to implement the land use plan or to determine if development project conform to land use plan. And there are other mandates to monitor development projects to ensure their continued conformity with the land use plan. And you also have their priority is to develop, in developing a land use plan for the EMR. What is the land use plan? It is a plan to manage development and use of land. And there's a little from the agreement itself. The primary purpose of land use plan is to protect, promote existing and future well-being of those individuals, communities, residents of using EMR, taking into account the interests of all Canadians. Special attention devoted to protecting and promoting the existing and future well-being of the Crees and Cree lands. This is a quote from the, there's another agreement called the implementation plan, and that's where that quote was taken from. EMR is working with local users. What's their LUP, local users?
They're asking land use planning.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, they're working with other land use planners to ensure that those plans are harmonized within Category 2 and 3 land, and including Category 1 land, community use, etc. And they have a timeline that they have developed in preparing the plan, which involves 7 stages. And stage 1 is the pre-planning that's scheduled for between June 2014 and September 2017. Stage 2 will be the research and data collection that is scheduled to take place between 2017 to 2018. Analyzing of information is from 2018 to September 2020. And then the writing of the actual plan take place between September 2020 to September 2021. And then stage 5 would be the approval of the plan beginning in March 2022. And the actual implementation of that plan to take place 2022. And then course 7 is a continuation of evaluation, monitoring, and amendments. The Eeeyou Marine Impact Review Board, their mandate is to review ecosystems and socio-economic impacts of development projects in the EMR, and you'll find it also in Chapter 18 of the agreement. Responsibilities are to screening a development project proposal to determine if impact review is required, and reviewing of ecosystems and socio-economic impacts of project proposals that are subject to review. Recommending whether projects should proceed under what terms and conditions, and also monitoring projects and terms and conditions of project certificates. And then the Wildlife Board's mandate is act as the main instrument of wildlife management and main regulator of access to wildlife, establishing harvesting levels for species stock of population of wildlife in the EMR. Also cooperating with other wildlife management institutions within the EMR. And also providing advice to other institutions relating to wildlife management and conservation within the EMR. And they also have the responsibility of managing a $5 million research fund. The Wildlife Board has a working relationship with the Cree Trappers, the Regional Cree Trappers Association. And the responsibilities of the CTA, the Regional CTA, is to act as a consultative body to the EMR Wildlife Board with respect to wildlife matters and managing of harvesting among the Crees within the EMR. Also, EMR provides funding to the CTA offshore functions, including hiring of a liaison officer and 5 local officers. The EMR Wildlife Board membership, you see that, I don't think you can recognize those people, but those are the people that are presently the board. Roger Pachano is sitting in front, myself, and the other board member that has left due to health reasons was due 4, and you also see Bert Moore, along with Arlie Beaulieu, Claude St. Charles, and Peter Katuk. The research fund function of the $5 million fund has been invested, and the earnings of that investment will be used to fund research projects. The update as of 2016 is the ongoing process to define the priorities that the Wildlife Board is planning to be going to the communities, other 5 coastal communities to visit these communities in search of priorities for the research fund. Waskagness, they've done Waskagness in May 2016, and East Main is scheduled for winter of 2017. Weymouth is also scheduled for 2017 winter, and Sissibee as well, winter of 2017. Masty is scheduled for November 2016. The research prioritization started with a symposium that took place in Montreal. Some of you may have remembered that were there in March 2014. There was a consultation document that was developed and identified 12 research priorities. And then in November 2015, the screening process began and continued to the Cree, and then these are ongoing, the Cree community consultations. And then the next step will be the selection of a sorted list of priorities, and then including the traditional knowledge as well as developing science protocols. And this will take place somewhere between 2017 and 18. And then that's where that's how the research fund will be developed. The agreement of the research fund will be developed after that. And here you see some of the pictures of the symposium I mentioned back in 2017 that took place in Montreal. So far, the research priority classifications that have been identified, this is not an exhaustive list, but some of the things that have been identified are the polar bears, the beluga, marine mammals, including waterfowl, eelgrass beds, local fisheries, hydroprotective impacts, oceanography, climate change, boreal frogs, bats, foxes, wolves, birds of prey. And then so far the priority number one that's been identified to the hydro development, including eelgrass and waterfowl. We have a large-scale study to eelgrass mapping, productivity assessment, potential beds restoration, relationship with waterfowl, Canada goose and brant, in the context of cumulative impacts of climate change. And then priority number two is the local fisheries. And the stock assessment of fish population, harvesting effort evaluations and mapping, development of long-term management plan in the context of cumulative impacts on climate change. And the result would be to meet the wildlife definition of wildlife research, respect the mandate and responsibilities of wildlife, and relevance to the Eeeyou marine region, and high interest of the Cree, high potential partners of collaboration, and matching funds. Thank you. And this is where you can find us. Our head office, as I said, is in West Kaganus, and you see that on the board. And then there's phone numbers of the two people that are working for us presently, Audrey Lapina, you can find her number there, as well as Sophie. And if you have any questions, Sophie and Audrey will be glad to answer. Thank you.